Hello and welcome to Cardcore Gamer. Today's topic: Blessed are the Greek. So what I hold here that totally dwarfs my head is a copy of Cyclades. That's the pronunciation I looked up online. Hopefully that's correct, I don't know. Does it really matter? Not at all, because it's not what it's called, it's what it is. Now this review isn't going to focus too much on individual rules or components and that kind of thing. If you want to look that up, there's bound to be somebody somewhere who's already done it. I just want to give you my impression of the game, why I think it's good, what I don't like, what I do like, and who I think should play it. So let's start. The important thing is, it scratches many itches. It has a lot of small, different pieces of different types of game. I mean, there's the itch I get just about here where I want to play a game that's about fighting and armies on a map and invading and my forces versus theirs and dice combat. There's the itch I get that starts just over here where I want to be building things and placing buildings and building towns and that sort of civilization type vibe. There's the itch I get in a rather uncomfortable place where I want to play a game with a fantasy theme about gods and monsters and titans and giant mystical forces at bay. Then there's the very boring itch I get up my nose, which is the one where I want to play a game that's a Euro style with auctions and civilized things. This game has all of those components, and the best thing is, it's more than the sum of its parts. It's not just a ramshackle collection of bits and pieces of other games jammed together in a box. The thing about this game that sets it apart is that everything is done well. Everything works together and meshes into a glorious whole. So, okay, dice combat, I mentioned dice. Yes, you do roll a dice when you fight each other. The dice is limited to 0 through 3. So it's not a massive swing variable. You won't get the tide of battle turning by a full 6 points of combat. It's not as bad as it seems, and you really have to accept it if you're going to play the game. This game plays violent, it plays brutal, it plays backstabby and vicious. When it comes to building things, you only get to build 4 kinds of buildings. They then become a metropolis, and metropolis represents all those kinds of buildings. They offer little upgrades to combat and the bidding abilities. So, okay, it's a very light Civ thing, it's only very simple, but it works, and it doesn't need to be more complex. You don't have a lot to remember in your head about pluses and minuses and bonuses to things. So that is in there. It's only simple, it's only basic, but it's there. Bidding, the big crux of this. I love this thing. You get different gods with different abilities they will grant you, but you have to bid on them, you have to pay them tribute, throw money their way, because apparently the gods don't like hanging out with feeble mortals unless they're loaded. And it's really, really nice way of theming it. It may be an auction, but you are offering the most to that god to get their attention. And the gods do different things. Poseidon allows you to buy ships and move fleets, and Ares allows you to invade people. And Athena gives you philosophers. Yep, philosophers. And Zeus allows you a temple, and temples make monsters cheaper. Monsters. You get fully fledged mythological beings who you can bring in onto the board. The Kraken's the funniest one. You place him on the board and you can pay gold to move him about. And he eats ships. He's kind of like a great betentacled Pac-Man. It's like, wow, wow, wow. It's bloody brilliant. I mean, you get all of the ones you'll expect, and then the lesser ones you might not know as much about, and some of them have miniatures that go onto the map, and some of them don't. Some of them are just card effects. And they all cycle through the deck and they get cheaper as they go, so if there's a crap one that no one wants, it'll eventually become cheap enough that you might want to take a punt on it. Money. The money's the big thing. You get money from owning areas of the board. You get spaces with a cornucopia on and they earn you gold. And it's as simple as that. Some of the spaces around the edge and they're trade routes that lead off the board. Now it sounds complex, it's not. It's just a space that gets you money if you have a boat on it. This is the thing that's so clever. It's all simple, it's all smart. But money, you need to make sure you have enough. Can you afford that bid? Can you afford to buy a monster in if it all goes wrong? You have to have multiple irons in the fire. It's a game which you cannot play without your mind being sharp and considering all the aspects. And this is the best point, the thing I like the most about this game. It plays quick. You learn it very simply. There's really simple, quite smart, clear, straightforward rules. and once you get rolling with it, it plays fast. You can get a game down in like an hour. This is based on the 3-player game, so I'll just add in that proviso. But you can play it fast and you can get a taste of all these other game types. It's like I know a curry house just near us in Nottingham, and they do Southern Indian curry, and you can get for like a £5 lunch special different pots of curry and chutney and different things. You can try everything and it's still a satisfying experience. That is what this game is. It's a Greek game that's like Indian food. Yes. You will like this game if you like games that are very interactive, very backstabbing, very very much games where you are playing to win and not being nice to anybody ever. You won't like this game if you like a game where you can build your armies and build your civilization and slow burn it and play the long game and get all the way up to massive military might and the big sweeping maneuvers. It doesn't play that speed. You will have several armies, like 4 maybe maximum, and you will tromp them across to a different island and you will smash them and that will be it. It's not a game that has a slow burn. You will not like it if it's a game where you don't like, if you don't like bash the leader games, because sometimes everybody will gang up on you if you're in a favourable position. But because there are so many different ways to get to the simple victory condition of building 2 metropolises, because that's it, just 2 and you're done. If you can kind of, accept the fact that you will be stomped on and your plans will be ruined, you've always got to have another plan. So if you don't like games where everybody gangs up on you, or you feel like you're being picked on, don't play it. Well, don't buy it at least. However, if you're the sort of person who likes tactical and sort of vicious and very sort of reactionary games where you actually do have to think about everything on the board at once and plan the various moves you could do and prepare for the worst, and sometimes you have to compromise your plan. Maybe you can't afford the god you wanted, so you have to change your plan at a moment's notice. If you like to think on your feet, if you have a sharp mind, if you want to play a game that looks good as well. I was playing this last night and somebody asked me if it was a Fantasy Flight title. Each of the different players have a different colour of pieces and different sculpts. The artwork is glorious. The back of the board is printed with a full-length picture. It's a beautiful game to look at. But that's the last concern. This thing could be like a paper map and some wooden cubes, and it would still play wonderfully. If I have a couple of criticisms, my first criticism is that the boards are designed with a flap that folds at the end. It's a modular board, so it scales for the players. But the little flappy thing tends to just stick up, kind of annoying. Doesn't really affect gameplay, it's just a mean neurosis thing. If I'm going to give it another complaint, it's that it is actually possible. It's possible to run away with it if you're playing with new players. You have to get a game under your belt before you can compete. If you've got an experienced player, you will have the floor wiped with you, totally. So it's not one you can introduce to people and play fair, because you'd have to play nice and it doesn't work with this game. So while it is a good game to get people into, they have to understand that there's a bit of a learning curve to get good at it. I'm still not great at it, but I had a significant advantage over people who hadn't played it before, even after just one play. So, all in all, I would say, for the money and the actual game you get, not the fancy components, which you do get, not the good rules, which you do get, but for the sheer game and gameplay and experience you get, Cyclades is an absolute stone-cold winner. This is my big fat Greek best friend.